Hi, Joy Horner here on another thoughtful Thursday, a nice sunny one today. Again, haven't really got a theme in mind, but a couple of things have cropped up this week. Um, Someone mentioned to me that they failed at breastfeeding the first time they tried with their first child. They failed, and I had to remind her that she didn't fail. She might not have had enough support or enough resources, or perhaps the baby couldn't manage to feed. She didn't fail. She gave it her all. She tried for months and months and months. Um, I wouldn't call that a failure. I'd call that a success in trying. Things don't always work out, but that's not a failure at all. Um, and it got me wondering about, so many women are lacking in self-confidence, and um, yeah, I don't know why that happens. I think it probably starts very early in life, early in childhood, in babyhood, maybe, when we treat little girls differently to little boys, maybe, just on their exterior physical attributes. And historically, girls have had to be good and quiet and, you know, not misbehave, and yeah, boys are allowed to get away with a bit more, um, classically, which might lead to your children seeming to be very nice and very controlled, and yeah, controlled in public situations, and you can be proud of them because they do as they're told. But when it comes time for those girls to become women and to have their own babies, we've quashed a lot of their power. We actually need to be able to say no, and I don't want to, and express ourselves as we need to express ourselves as women, because if we're not allowed to do that, how are we going to know how to do that in childbirth and in breastfeeding? And yeah, maybe we'll think we've failed if we've tried something and we can't manage it. We haven't failed. We've tried really, really hard, and sometimes it doesn't work out. And this reminds me of something that my great mentor, Mary Kronk, always says. Um, she says when she hears people talking about their birth, and in their birth, people say, but it all went wrong. My body went wrong. And Mary reminds them that women's bodies don't go wrong. They certainly don't go wrong in labour. And Mary says sometimes some labours need some help. And these are really wise words. If your labour didn't go the way you wanted to, if your labour was awful, if your labour was traumatic, you didn't fail at anything. You gave it your best, didn't you? You really tried, whether it was with or without painkillers, whether it was in hospital or out of hospital, um, whether your legs were in stirrups or you were standing up, you tried, you gave it your all. Um, and that's really courageous. That's a real heroic thing to do. That is not a failure. You didn't fail. You might have needed some help. And I certainly needed help with my first baby. Um, we didn't know, but she was in a brow position, and I needed to transfer to hospital from my planned home birth, and it still wasn't diagnosed, and they tried to encourage her through with all sorts of drips and things, breaking my waters and all the stuff that I hadn't wanted, and I needed an epidural, and yeah, it was really good to have Mary's words ringing in my ears. Some labour sometimes needs some help, and mine did. I needed a cesarean. She would not come out the vaginal route. Um, so yeah, and sometimes I was going to say it's good, and I can only say this with hindsight because my traumatic birth was nearly 24 years ago. Um, but sometimes there are great lessons in this, and I was never one to ask for help. I can do it all on my own. Well, I couldn't, actually. I needed help. My daughter needed help. and I'm really grateful. It's given me a real grounded view of childbirth. I've only birthed twice, once by caesarean and once a vaginal birth after caesarean, and they were worlds apart. And I'm so grateful as a midwife that I didn't have an easy birth with my first child, because it's given me great compassion and great empathy. And when someone tells me the pain is really bad, which I have to say isn't a lot of the time, but if you have an obstructed labour or an augmented labour, you know, you have a drip of syntocinon, or Pitocin it's called in America, and contractions are hellish and you just want to die, they're that bad. As I said, I'm talking about real rare cases here. Brows don't happen very often. I understand that, and I'm so glad I've got that embodied understanding. Yeah, so I think that's about all I want to say. Just yeah, very grateful that I learnt that some labours need some help, and I learnt it myself. You know, it was Mary later when I met Mary, and she said those words, and I know those words have given a lot of solace to a lot of women over the years. Just a brief bit as we finish off about the language around birth, because sometimes the language we use disempowers people who are not feeling confident in themselves or their body anyway. You know, a lot of people feel not confident in themselves. A lot of people aren't confident of their body's ability, particularly if they haven't birthed before and it's their first time. And we have to be really, really careful not to feed that energy for women. So when we do an internal, if the woman would like an internal, certainly doesn't have to have one, and we find that the cervix is only just opening, it's only 2 centimetres or 1 centimetre dilated, you know, we need to let the woman know that is great. You know, not that it's only 2 centimetres or 1 centimetre, but it's already 2 centimetres dilated, and it's soft and it's shortening. Yeah, big her up, give her all the really good information. If it's still 2 centimetres in umpteen hours, great. You know, the contractions are obviously moving the baby into a better position. That's what's happening at the moment. You know, not quite the established labour, but we know these contractions are doing something. So I hate the term failure to progress. Again, we mustn't let women ever think they're a failure. They're not a failure. They always try their best and do their best. Dog just jumped on the bed. Hello, Finn. He's come to join me in the sunshine. Yeah, so failure to progress, incompetent cervix, inadequate pelvis. What else can we have? All sorts of derogatory things. Yeah, you know, we really mustn't use those words. And Mary Kronk says, how would men like it if we used those words for their parts? So if we used inadequate or incompetent or failure, you know, men aren't going to be able to do anything with their parts, are they? So why do we think we can do that to women and expect their reproductive parts to work well? Yeah, I think I'll just stop at that analogy. So be kind to women and big women up and tell them what a brilliant job they're doing, because they always are. They're always doing the best they can. They're always trying as hard as they can. You know, if they need pain relief, they need the pain relief. If they don't need pain relief, they don't need the pain relief. You know, big them up. If they manage to breastfeed, fantastic. If they don't want to breastfeed or can't breastfeed, fantastic. You know, they've made an informed choice. Big them up. All women need this. All human beings need this. It mustn't be exclusive. All people need this. So that's it for Thoughtful Thursdays today. I hope that helps someone out there, and happy Easter. Bye.